What's up, everyone? So as promised, we're going to talk a little bit about nutrition. We'll do this a couple of times because if I just did this in one video, it'd be, well, a very, very long video. First and foremost, you got to understand your why. So in this case, I'm trying to lose a little bit of body fat. Why, Max, are you trying to do that? Well, I want to be able to be pound for pound strong and powerful. And a good way to get rid of extra pounds is, well, to get rid of some body fat. So we want to lose some body fat. That's kind of goal number one. But we also want to be able to increase performance. So body fat is actually what I call a complementary goal. It is there to help with performance. So at no point in time should my attempt to lose body fat outweigh performance. So even though losing body fat percentage is important, I say that loosely, for my nutrition, the ultimate goal is performance. So performance is number one. And I think that losing some body fat could potentially help. Now the question is, how are we going to do that, and what are some of my processes in which I like to manage that? So there's a couple of rules, not rules, but principles we should understand. One is calories in versus calories out. If you want to lose weight, you need to have more calories out than you have calories in. So that's just the basics of thermodynamics. The way we do that, calories out, those things are manipulated by your activity levels, you could say even your hormonal levels, your metabolic rate. So whether that's an active metabolic rate, something you're doing and lifting, or whether it's the basal, they call, almost said basic, the basal metabolic rate, which is like the baseline, where you're just doing nothing, you're just burning calories to maintain your being. Then there's obviously the calories in, where you can restrict the number of calories that you're consuming, and that in turn can influence basal metabolic rate, as well as some of your energy levels to actually do the output of exercise. So there's a happy medium between the two. I am not going to be counting calories during this. Now, it is beneficial a lot of times to count calories, especially if you're not super familiar with your caloric intake. My meals are so basic that you can pretty much map out where can I cut out 230 calories a day or type of deal. But there are a lot of fitness trackers if you don't have a very well-defined calorie internal monitor. But you can do that, and it's very helpful. It helps you learn a lot about your meals. So there are a couple of things that I want to balance, right? I don't want to just try and burn all my calories through just exercise, so calories out through just sheer active effort. But I also don't want to just restrict all my calories in to a point where I lose energy before my workouts. And so this is where we can have what's called nutrient timing, or just when you eat your meals matters, because that can affect your energy levels. So one of the things is, if I want to make sure I am feeling energetic before a workout, even if I'm on a slightly caloric deficit, well, I want to make sure I center my meals around that workout. I don't want to go 4 hours without having a meal and go work out, at least for myself, because I tend to have lower energy levels when I do something like that. So I want to make sure I actually have eaten before I go and work out. So calorie timing or nutrient timing, or even just meal placement allocation, is a simple way of thinking about it. But all in all, we want to make sure we are having enough energy at the right time to actually go and perform. So that's obviously really important. Now, another one is getting enough of the macronutrients. So things like carbs, proteins, and fats. Now, sometimes when you're kind of on your own and you're just winging it, which you shouldn't be, that's why I always think about you should have a calorie tracker, because it helps you learn. You could potentially miss out on areas. It's not like carbs are a bad thing. Carbs are a good thing. Carbs are fuel. Carbs are energy. We need to have that at the right time and allocate them appropriately. Also with protein, maybe we need to have enough protein. We got to make sure we're not under-eating protein, because protein has many different benefits outside of just muscle muscle building and anabolic properties, but it has lots of beneficial aspects across the whole body. So we got to look at nutrition, not just about my performance, but me as a being, as a person, as an individual entity that wants to maintain healthy and energetic during this process. So some tips I have is, well, making sure you actually have food in the house that fits those needs. What are some simple snacks that help you get those macronutrients, that get you the protein, that get you the carbs that you need? I like yogurt and berries. That tends to work for me. That's something that's very beneficial. Not very beneficial, but something easy that I can do. I also really like having pre-made meals, but not like big pre-made meals. I take that back. More like leftovers that fit my protein needs and my carb needs. Things that are easy to cook, ground beef. These are all things that you can go forward and do. Again, I'm actually not. I'm a little bit lucky because I'm not like having to take meals to work. So I'm not the best meal prepper, but I know people have had lots of benefits from meal prepping. Now, on top of all that, it has to go together in a full system. So we can't just be like, oh, I'm low on energy because I haven't eaten enough food. Well, you also might not be sleeping enough and all these other things that go into it. So that's kind of the basic outline of what we're trying to accomplish with a body weight, body fat percentage. I'm not going to dive into the ins and outs. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not an expert nutritionist. I do have I'm versed to an extent in it. There are some things I find beneficial, and we'll kind of dive into those specific assets and things I struggle with too. So whether it's cheat days, whether it's not really intended cheat days, but quote unquote eating, I guess bad days, we eat a lot of food, and how to avoid, I'll say avoid, but handle in a proper way situations where you might be more inclined to overeat. All those kind of things. Talk about intermittent fasting. That's something I've done before in the past. I have a lot of experience personally doing within it, and I actually recorded a full journal every day when I did it. I'll talk about that and some of the pros and cons that I found with it, and then we'll dive into some other stuff. I just want to give you the baseline of what I'm doing here, and then share some of the insights as to what I'm trying to accomplish. So I appreciate you guys listening as always. We're going to build into this portion as we go through updates that come across. If I do anything like blood work, or I do anything like talk to nutritionists, anything at all, we'll try and share it on this platform here. So I appreciate you guys as always. Thanks for listening, and I hope you all enjoyed.